We grew up on their stories, starting from cartoons to documentaries that narrate their thrilling tales, their power that cannot be confronted, their authority that extends for miles. Wherever they exist, no other beast can snatch from them the title of the kings of the jungle, a title they have earned deservedly. Yes, they are the lions. Today, we carry in our quiver a story with an emotional connection to a lineage of fathers and forefathers. A story of pride from a lineage of lions that carried genes from their predecessors and grew to spread across the vast expanse, filling the wilderness with the roar of its lions, which exceeded 20 in number. Naturally, partnerships that generally include 2 to 4 male lions are more successful in maintaining power in competing lion prides, where challengers to the dominant leader are fewer, who sometimes has to expel them if one dares to compete, and sometimes to something worse than that. He may kill him. So, as is customary, if a new group of males managed to seize the pride, they would immediately kill the small cubs that their ancestors had fathered to enhance their strains. Therefore, the strength and survival of the pride lie in unity and cooperation among them, to ensure the continuity of their offspring and genes, and to collectively overcome the challenges of the wilderness. Our heroes today are a massive herd from Topi pride, which has taken up a large space of the passion of park-goers and wildlife photographers in the Masai Mara Reserve, specifically in the Rhino Ridge area. During observation, some features of these lions that hide and rest inside the long grass appear, and while the sun was emitting the heat of the morning air that began to spread, the lions stood up and began to walk in search of shade. It was like a scene from a wildlife movie. The majestic Topi pride is led by 3 powerful males. They are the sons of the famous Salas herd, with 9 lionesses and 12 cubs playing in the red oat grass. It was impossible to ignore the scene as they walked across the open grasslands. Seeing 1 or 2 lions would be very enjoyable and exciting, but seeing 24 lions was an amazing encounter that cannot be erased from memory. With such a huge pride, there is a big problem. There are a lot of mouths to feed, but they did not seem hungry, as their perseverance and experience in hunting and the abundance of prey made all members of the pride feed continuously, and watching them hunt was always an exciting experience. They are wonderful hunters of huge prey, and their great cunning and determination are unparalleled as they track large herds of buffaloes roaming the savannah and patiently wait to exploit any gaps in the herd's shield to make their next move. On one hot evening, they were seen running a kilometer towards a large herd of buffaloes, where they noticed that a clan of fierce hyenas was targeting a newborn of the herd. The clan lost with eyes flaming with fire, and they were fully prepared to kill. Nothing can stop them. The chaos caused by the fierce hyenas led to the division of the herd into small groups, which led to the isolation of about 15 buffaloes and created the ideal conditions for epic hunting. The opportunity was favorable for the lionesses to surround one of the groups and work on calculating the best angle to approach. She was sometimes testing it with a feigned advance to see how dangerous the situation was, as if she senses some anger that could lead to bad results on the hunting females. The lionesses finally started the attack. Then that commotion caught the attention of the 2 males, Osipuk and Olepolos, who ran to the scene. Olepolos chose to rely only on his tremendous strength and rushed to deal with a small buffalo. With one strong bite in the back of his neck, he was able to subdue the calf and began to carry it towards his cubs, who jumped on it and began to feed enthusiastically. Shortly after delivering that calf, he rushed again towards the mother of that calf and jumped directly onto her back. She was resisting violently in an attempt to shake him off, but his claws were deep in her flesh, so he kept his balance as much as possible. It was like watching a cowboy competition in the wild. The buffalo eventually weakened, allowing some of the lionesses the opportunity to assist the lion and complete the killing process, while another small group of lionesses dealt with 2 other calves, raising the total number of victims to 4. This massacre that happened in just 30 minutes will leave any heart trembling. It was an attempt to absorb the chaos, and photograph it at the same time was closer to the impossible, and a stroke of imagination. It was different from anything that could be seen before. It is a huge dose of emotions and adrenaline. It was a terrifying scene of the collective power of the lion pride. The relationship between lions and buffaloes is a survival battle that does not tolerate, but it is far from being a one-sided battle, as the buffalo with its huge body and sharp horns is also a huge opponent, and these powerful herbivorous animals will not deter anything to protect their herd or kill lion cubs if given half the chance. Many photographers have directly witnessed the serious consequences of the invasion of huge herds of grasslands, especially when they are terrified and fleeing, to surprise everything that comes out in front of them and trample it with their strong legs or stab it with their horns, without distinguishing a large or small animal. Even for Topi pride, the fear and panic that 100 terrifying hooves can make 24 fierce lions run in search of safety and leave the place without any thought. Topi pride has presented exciting confrontations with prey. They have also shown a lot of love and fun with the small cubs. Although dealing with many cubs will be difficult, but their mothers cared for them unconditionally and shared with them countless emotional moments and strengthened their collective bonds. These cubs always seem to have a spirit of exploration and curiosity, which sometimes puts them in risky situations. For example, many lionesses climb trees gracefully, and their small cubs often try to imitate them. While climbing remains relatively simple, their hooked claws and strong hind legs are not designed for smooth descent, and they must return with all caution and slowness for sure. On one occasion, one of those cubs that were stranded when it reached the top was seen jumping from the upper branches of a bushia tree and sliding in a moment to land on the long grass below, safe but terrified of that experience. Amid a lot of turmoil and attempts by some other lions in Mara to invade this pride, Topi's fighting specialist lionesses continue to overcome many challenges that dare to approach and work wonderfully to protect their cubs, alongside Salis boys' males. It is always necessary to keep intruders away from their territories and provide the necessary stability for their cubs to reach maturity, to enhance their confidence and strength, until she paves her way to find her own way and spread her genes alongside one of the largest current lion herds in Africa, that striking lethal force, which has reached the point of hunting large prey to see it feeding on elephants recently. Topi pride is certainly about to make history in Masai Mara. This is what the coming days will show as wildlife lovers and followers of lion news around the world eagerly await to see what the future holds for this wonderful family of lions.
The Mapogo lions, which are considered one of the most famous lion coalitions in history, with their harsh tactics and the speed with which they invaded new lands. They were unlike other alliances. They killed almost every lion they faced, and they killed all the cubs and even the females who opposed their rule, led by the most famous lion ever at that time, the legendary leader Makulu the Terrifying, whose life story full of challenges and blood is missing. The famous lion and later the great leader Makulu and his brothers were born in a pride known as Spartan, specifically in 1998, after a group of lions known as West Street Men took control of this legendary pride. In May 2000, the cub Makulu, who was somehow lost, was forced to struggle and try to survive alone. But in July of the same year, 2 months after he was lost, he returned to his original pride, but with most of the pride members, especially the females, not accepting his return. So many of the observing photographers remained puzzled about the origin of this cub and whether it belongs to the pride or not. But the male lions allowed him to stay, leaving everyone in great astonishment. After a while, the females gave birth to 3 new cubs named Rasta, Pretty Boy, and Dreadlock. Then they later gave birth to Mr. T and Kinky Tail. Makulu became the oldest individual among his brothers at an age that could make him an important member of the pride, and he worked to defend it and preserve it, especially after he possessed a huge and very strong body. So he led most of the big hunting operations, as the older males relied on the presence of these cubs to defend them against attacks from other lions, so they never tried to expel them out of the pride like the rest of the lions. So Makulu fought side by side with his fathers in the pride many fierce alliances that were made to control the pride, like the Split Rock roller coaster python males and the original Milwaukee males from 2004 to 2005. Then Makulu prepared his 5 brothers to build a strong legendary alliance through his combat experiences and wisdom in leadership, to later separate from the pride after the death of the last West Street seniors, and in order to experience roaming and exploring the area in Sabi Sand, and indeed Makulu took his younger brothers and crossed them to the hottest and most dangerous areas of Sabi. This new young alliance took control with all its strength and struck with an iron fist since its first settlement, as by 2005 to early 2006, Makulu took upon himself to protect his younger cub brothers through his constant guarding of them against the surrounding dangers, which appeared with the first real fight that gathered their older brother with one of the males, who was called Langolini. Makulu and Langolini fought for sovereignty over the area. It was a very fierce battle, and a proof of self for Makulu, who came out of it this strong lion victorious with some minor wounds, and then returned to his lands that he had recently seized, while Langolini was injured in that battle with some strong wounds that left their mark on his face. The cubs grew up with their brother Makulu and roamed Sabi Sand, destroying habitats and lions that tried to confront them, and their alliance was named Mapogo, and with the increasing strength of this alliance, the competitors did not stop trying to attack the pride, led by Ottawa Pride Lions, which Makulu repelled their attack with all strength and violence, including the male Raven who provoked Makulu, despite knowing that he has no chance against the strong Makulu, where the result of their individual fighting was the defeat of Raven on the borders of Londolozi area, and the angry Makulu chased him outside the borders, then Raven ran away terrified. Later, Makulu returned to his main homeland with his brothers to take revenge on the lions that were controlling the pride, as he wanted with his brothers to revive their father's competitions with the aggressors. The alliance led by Makulu and his savage brother Mr. T defeated the existing enemies one after the other, as many alliances were eliminated, led by Lions Law Office Lions, Split Rock Males, and Roller Coaster. Then the Mapogo took over the entire land, and they wreaked havoc in the entire area, leaving behind their rule many dead, from the senior lions, cubs, and even females who dared to confront them. By 2008, almost all of Sabi Sand's lands were under the control of Makulu and his brothers, after most of his competing brothers were killed and expelled within the pride. But once tension and love of control prevailed within the alliance, Makulu turned to the conflict over ownership and defense of his right to control as the oldest of its members. So he got involved in a bloody, fierce battle against his brother Mr. T, nicknamed Satan, to end the fight with the defeat of Mr. T, to prove Makulu's strength and severe prowess and his right to rule. After this fight, Makulu and 3 of his brothers remained in the western sector, namely Rasta, Pretty Boy, and Dreadlock, while Mr. T and Kinky Tail, the 2 powerful lions in Mapogo, headed east to protect the exposed borders in the northeast and south due to the large number of competitors wishing to control such vast, habitat-rich lands. So the confrontation with other lions was inevitable for these 2 lions, and indeed they faced new challenges that were defeated strongly due to their exceptional violence and ferocity. But despite this division, Makulu remained with his brothers in leading the western part with all strength. The harmonious matters and the calm atmosphere in the west were the predominant character of the alliance, as they worked to increase the number of the herd and raise the cubs and chase the competitors who tried several times to enter the area, while the east was a theater for the battles fought by his brothers, as they fought hard to defeat one competitor after another, even in battles where competitors outnumbered. And because the calm in the wilderness does not always last, so 5 young lions from the Majingilane pride invaded the area, causing a big fight in which one of their members fell and the rest fled. But the Majingilane, who did not surrender, decided to monitor the brothers to later single out the younger brother, Kinky Tail, and kill him. And once Mr. T arrived at the place, he knew that he could not face the angry lions alone, so he had to withdraw and return to his brother Makulu in the west after about 2 years of departure and rupture. Makulu allowed his brother Mr. T to rejoin the alliance despite all the previous hatred, to reorganize the alliance and lead it to launch again on a journey of revenge for the death of Kinky Tail and challenge the competitors. Indeed, the brothers walked around with all anger on the surrounding lions for revenge, with eyes filled with fire and greed for killing and destruction, without any response from the cautious competitors. However, one of the reserve guards reported that he saw the 5 Mapogo chasing the four new Majingilane alliance to the east, and they continued behind them in the Kruger Reserve in the northeast, ensuring that they would not approach the area again. Makulu lost his brother Rasta after a while at the hands of some hunters, and he was very sad for his death, to remain alone with his three brothers, and the alliance became composed of only 4 members. But the wise Makulu remained, preserving the leadership and dominating his brothers, despite that he does not enjoy a strong presence like his previous era, like his devil brother Mr. T. Months after the disappearance of the brother Rasta, Dreadlock was also killed by a human gun, to spread the tragedy again on the legendary Makulu alliance, and the number dropped to 3. And by 2011, Makulu and his alliance continued to defend the western sector of the Pride, as they worked to repel another attack for strong young lions who tried to penetrate the area. They were called the Matimba Alliance. Makulu and his brothers succeeded in killing one of the 4 Matimba members, and chasing the rest, who decided to withdraw outside the borders of the place, and Makulu received in that battle some minor wounds. Later, another young alliance of 4 males advanced. They were called Salala, and they wanted to control the Pride after the Mapogo alliance advanced in age. But the other strong ones, with their vast experience in killing and attacking, repelled them and chased them away. 2012 came, and the effect of aging on the alliance was clear now, as Makulu was 14 years old at that time, and in February 2012, the Salala alliance returned to challenge the Mapogo again. But Pretty Boy saw them and confronted them, and repelled them for a period sufficient until the arrival of the rest of his brothers, where Makulu led the rescue mission of his brother with his brother Mr. T to repel the Fort Salala again outside the area, and Makulu continued with his terrifying brothers to win the battles. And with the great progress in age for the 3 members of Mapogo, Makulu decided with his great wisdom to leave the alliance with Pretty Boy in order to avoid death. And Mr. T. The stubborn was left behind them, who insisted on staying and protecting the lands. But after a while, the 4 united Salala returned to try to seize the western sector that they failed in previously, where and without Mr. T, expecting he was besieged by these angry lions, who could not resist these young lions due to his old age and weakness, as he was torn apart in a terrifying way and killed in the end. And then the young alliance took over the entire western sector. Pretty Boy reassembled his ranks with Makulu. It was said that they returned to the lands they were born in Mala Mala in Sabi Sand Reserve, without any response from the Salala alliance. But later, Makulu and his brother continued as nomadic lions, even though they passed through the reserves without any lion attacking them, as if they were still the dominant males in the area. From April to July of the same year, Makulu and Pretty Boy were attacked by the males of the Kruger alliance, led by Freddy and his younger brother Limper. The latter was killed by the expert and strong Makulu, despite his weak, thin features, where that war reached its peak in a bloody battle at the end of July. To be the result of that battle costly, that led to serious injuries to Makulu, that almost cost him his life. This was the last strong, bloody, and valuable battle for Makulu and his brother, and its lines will be immortalized by the pages of the history of this region, with his legendary autobiography alongside his fierce brothers in their expansion and control wars. Despite those deadly wounds, Makulu amazingly returned from death to rejoin his brother Pretty Boy and live together in peace outside the land they used to rule, and they continued hunting despite their great age for the next half a year, and continued to move back and forth from Kruger to Sabi Sand. It was said that Makulu took a large buffalo for his injured brother, who was suffering from pain, whose life ended later due to his wounds by December 2012. And Makulu was filled with sadness after he was very attached to his brother Pretty Boy, and he went on his way with a raised head, but with a look of breakdown and great loss that appeared in his eyes. He was last seen entering Kruger National Park in March 2013. He was still in an incredibly good condition, and at the age of 15, declaring that he would never return to Sabi Sand to start writing the last chapter of his legendary life in Kruger Reserve, disappearing and leaving everyone imagining his whereabouts, to keep the last chapter of his life for himself as a legendary lion born for greatness, born to lead. He came out victorious from almost all his fights, and is still fighting inside the merciless jungle nature. He is the legendary leader Makulu, the commander of the terrifying Mapogo Alliance.